Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are finally talking about the best and worst books of 2025. So I know it's been a minute and most people have already finished up their end of the year content. I was sitting on this video for a while because I really didn't know what to make of it. And as you can tell, I'm just going to combine both of these topics into one video. I know most people do a video for best and a video for worst books of the year. I'm not really going to do that. And the biggest reason why is that I don't really have standouts on either end of the spectrum. I've said before that as far as a reader goes, like I know what I like and I know what I'll enjoy, and I'm a fairly easy reader to please, but I am hard to impress. So more often than not, a lot of my ratings end up in the 3.5, 4-star range, which is not bad. That just means that I like more books, like on average, like I like them more than I hate them, which is good. And I also really didn't want to force myself to make a top 10 and a bottom 10. I only read 54 books, which is still really good, but if I did a top 10 and a bottom 10, that's like almost half of the books that I read, and I don't feel like half of the books that I read are worthy for me to rant or rave about them. Again, most of them are good, fine, passable, all right for the moment, but maybe ultimately forgettable. And again, I don't really feel like those are the books that I need to put on a list. So we are going to talk about the highs and lows in one video. There's not a lot to talk about. I think it's like maybe like 8-ish books in total. More good than bad, which is great. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the intro. I don't really have anything else to say. Without much further ado, let's just jump into the worst. We'll do the worst first and then the best, so we can end on a high note. So I do have a document here with like all the books that I read and in order, or like a good order. Some of the stuff in the middle, it's whatever. For the worst books, I only really have 3 that I really don't like and I have a lot of critiques for. Also, if you hear snoring, there's a pug behind me. I only really have 3 that I need to like really rant about. Some of the other books at the bottom end of the list were just kind of fine and forgettable, which I don't feel like I need to rant about those. They don't really deserve it in my opinion. We'll start with the 3rd from the bottom and continue our way down. So ranked 52 out of 54 on my list is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I really had a bad reaction to this book. Riley Sager is a hit and miss author for me, like he is for a lot of other people. I actually have another book on this list that was much higher in ranking. I think I gave The Last Time I Lied top 20 of the year, which is good, but Lock Every Door was so frustrating to me. The theme that he was touching on, having to do with class differences and stuff, that's all well and dandy, but I just hate the way he went about it. I feel like it's so on the nose, and the reveal and everything having to do with trying to touch on that theme, I didn't like it. I just had a really bad reaction to this book. And I don't have it at the very bottom of the list, though it did make me really angry. Reveals are just such a personal thing, so I felt that kind of gave it a little bit of a buffer, so it wasn't like at the bottom of the list. But I really did not like this. The characters were frustrating to me. I just don't like this book. I really don't like this book. I will still read Riley Sager because I've had good experiences with him in the past. Again, I read The Last Time I Lied this last year, enjoyed it. I've read Home Before Dark. I actually like that one as well. This one was just not for me. I think I ended up giving it like 2 stars, but that's generous. Ranked 53 out of 54, I have Booked for Murder by PJ Nelson. I forgot the author's name. This was not good either. This was a cozy mystery. I have not had successes with cozy mysteries, but more often than not they're just like okay to me. It's more of a genre thing that just doesn't work for me, but this one was just so bland and so boring in every way possible. Usually, like I said before, there's always something that I can like pick out that I'm like, okay, we'll give the book its props here. And in this one, well, I'll get to it soon, but this one is just, it's about a girl who inherits some bookstore from a dead aunt, and someone wants to run her out of town, and there's drama and murder. It's a very standard like cozy setup, which there's nothing, you know, it works for a reason. People really enjoy it, but this didn't stand out in any way whatsoever. I'm not going to imply anything, but this just kind of felt like someone spit out a cozy mystery out of a computer based off of tropes that are popular, based off of things that are popular right now. There's just nothing fantastic about it. It was so boring, and that's horrible. I hate being bored. I'm already a very fidgety reader. I need to move a lot, so I do take a lot of breaks when I read, and this was such a pain to get through. And it is supposed to be a fast read. It's cozy. It wasn't very long. This was just really, really bad. I really didn't like it. The one thing that did kind of surprise me, and this is like the only compliment I will give to it, is that this book reads very like Hallmark, Lifetime, and a lot of times with movies in that kind of programming, they tend to want to avoid divisive topics, and by that I mean gay people. The entirety of the book, we are talking about outsiders. This takes place in like a southern town, by the way, like a very close-knit southern town, and there's a lot of prejudices and stuff like that. I'm from Texas, like I know this, but we had characters here that are I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. I don't consider it a spoiler, but we had characters here that were queer or who were othered in some way, and I was kind of surprised. I was like, I thought we were kind of going for like a political vibe, but we didn't. So there's that. That's like the only props I can give. I was like, oh, okay, work. The rest of this book, I was like, this is not it for me. If you've read a cozy mystery, you've probably read this book before. Like in spirit, you've read something like this already. So, and the worst book that I read last year was The Ruins by Scott Smith. I would say this was probably around a 1.5. I think the reason why this is so low is because it's so highly like regarded. A lot of people really like this type of book, or this specific book. This book follows a group of foreigners in Mexico, and they go to some Maya ruins to look for a friend of theirs, and bad things start happening. There's a lot of body horror, and that's probably the best part. If you're here to just like read like gross stuff, then sure, this is totally fine, but I would like a story. I would like a narrative. I would like something going on other than just like shock value stuff. That's not the type of horror lover I am. I don't really love that. At some point, probably like the midway part, I was just kind of like, what are we doing now? Like, I know that these kids are in danger. I know that a lot of them are probably gonna die, but what now? We are just, spoiler alert, not really, it's a horror novel. We are just slowly killing them off one by one. So what now? What do you want me to take away from this book that you haven't already hit in the first 150 pages? I never want to say that reading is a waste of time, even if it's a book that you dislike, but it was a waste of time for this author to keep writing and not edit this shit down. I don't know, this was very cruel to read. And again, it's not the most goriest thing. I've seen gorier movies and stuff, but this was kind of just like, just put it out of its misery already, because what more do you want me to take out of this book? I just felt so pointless. I was waiting for the suffering of these people to end. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a horror novel. You kind of, bad things are gonna happen. You kind of know this. And the best thing about this book is that I'm already kind of starting to erase it from my memory. So if that's one positive that I can find in this book, is that I am now forgetting, because it really, nothing happens after they've arrived at this Maya ruin. They're just bad stuff starts happening to them, and that's it. Like, there's no development, progression whatsoever. The good thing is that this book will be forgettable. And those are the worst books I've read. Like I said, it's not a lot. I don't have any like harsher feelings about other books on the bottom half of my list. They're just fine. They're okay. They didn't really piss me off. Those are really the only three that I just really had negative feelings for. Everything else, it's whatever. So yeah, let's just move on to the best books of 2025. I'm going to combine a couple books on this list because they're part of the same series. So this first book that I'm talking about is technically 6 out of 54 books that I read this year, but we're doing a top 5, and that top 5 spot goes to The Boneheart by Ivy Warren. This is a self-published or indie published sapphic romance that kind of came out of nowhere for me. I got this in one of those stuffier Kindle days that they have, romancebookworms.com or whatever. If you're unfamiliar, it's just a bunch of self-published authors put their books either for like 99 cents or for free. And there was a sapphic day, and I was like, well, I want to read more sapphic romances, and I picked this one up on a whim. It had like pirates on the cover, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I'm shocked that something so romance heavy got into my top 5. This was so fun and thrilling to read about. I thought the author did such a good job portraying these characters and their growing romance. This is an enemies to lovers sapphic pirate romance, like I said, and we follow a character who is in love with her art teacher. She's like a lady and her father wants her to marry just like a man of value, but she doesn't want to. She's a lesbian, and so she and her art teacher, her mistress, whatever you want to call it, they hatch up a plan to run away together, and our main character hides at the bottom of what she thinks is a cargo ship. In reality, her mistress is a con woman, and our main character accidentally falls into a pirate ship. Like, she hides away on a pirate ship instead of a cargo ship, so now she's like a prisoner, and she falls in love with the captain. It's an enemies to lovers. It's a really fun, thrilling adventure. I love pirates. I love nautical stories. There's a hint of fantasy that I was really intrigued about, but this was so fun. I had such a good time. It was so easily readable for me. Like, I devoured majority of this, like 90% of this in one sitting, and then I had to fall asleep. But I had such a good time. I was so disappointed when I saw that this author doesn't have anything else published, at least under this pen name. I don't know if they write anywhere else. Their next book is coming out Valentine's Day of this year, and I'm excited. I like went to follow the author immediately on Instagram. Again, they're self-published, so they're not like this big, you know, author or whatever, but if you're looking for something sapphic and super fun, please go check this out. I had such a good time. I mean, take my word for it or not, because I don't really read romance heavy stuff these days, but this was so fun. It was actually like enemies as well. Like, they were not on good terms at all when the book started. I had such a good time. This was so fun. And fourth overall on my list of the best of 2025 is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Look at this copy. I had such a good time reading this. This has been something that I've been wanting to read since I was like a little baby goth kid in like 6th grade or whatever, whenever I first saw the film. I read this in a vlog, so if you want more thoughts, go ahead and watch it there. But I remember watching the older Tom Cruise film, fell in love. I had the biggest crush on specifically that version of Tom Cruise. I didn't really give a shit about Brad Pitt, and I still don't give a shit about Brad Pitt, but this was such an achievement for me, like on a personal level. I really enjoyed this. Oh my god, you're gonna hear me say I enjoyed this book so much, like a ton of times. Classic vampire gothic story. We follow a character named Louis who is telling his life story as a human, as a vampire, to this like reporter guy, and it's such an adventure. I really love that kind of narrative, like telling your life story to someone. This book really popularized that storytelling. Really enjoyed the writing. That is something that really became apparent in my reading in the latter half of 2025. I was a big lover of an author's writing, and how unique a person's writing can be, and how distinct, and how very much that is something that is so indicative of how much work they put into their craft if their writing is so them. And Anne Rice's writing, I loved every moment that Louis, despite me not really giving a shit about his character, how many like philosophical spirals he goes down in regards to like morality and like good and evil. And one thing that I struggled a lot with, and you can see it in the vlog that I read this in, was like Louis feeling bad because he's a vampire and he has to like kill people and all this stuff, but he's also like a slave owner, a plantation owner, and he didn't really have any qualms about that in his human life. I just had such a this was so I've never been a reader that really focuses much on an author's writing, because I feel like I'm not super qualified to talk on writing. I'm not a writer. I don't aspire to be a writer. I know a lot of readers, you know, read a lot to get to writing. That's not me, and that will probably never be me, but this gave me a huge appreciation for the skill of writing, of storytelling. I had such a good time with this. I am of course going to continue on with the series. I know that the next book is going to heavily focus on Lestat's character, which is leagues better than Louis. My little baby gothic heart that I had in 6th grade is like over the moon that I really enjoyed this. I don't know if I would have loved it had I read it when I was younger, but I definitely loved it at my lovely age of 29. So we're now hitting our top 3 books of the year, and we are going to start with Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This was really good. This was fantastic. This really reminded me of how much I love high fantasy. I've always liked high fantasy, but I haven't really been reading too much of it, or I hadn't in 2025. I really wanted to focus on other genres and like spreading my taste, widening the genres that I read. High fantasy kind of went on the back end, but I picked this up towards the end of the year, like September or August or something, and I had such a good time. The slow burn, the build up, the like growing of a character and world. This was it was fantastic. Obviously, I really enjoyed it. I can see why so many people love this author's storytelling, and this is just the first book in a series that isn't, not that it's not liked. A lot of people love the Farseer trilogy, but I know people love the later installments in this like realm of the Elderlings world. This was really good. This is like peak everything when it comes to high fantasy character work, world building, developing relationships. The author doesn't like give too much to begin with. Like she's not just like throwing out a bunch of like shit that's going on and like here's like worlds like info dumps and stuff like that. It's so like wonderfully crafted. I can see why so many fantasy readers like love Robin Hobb. She's kind of like on the Mount Rushmore of like modern day contemporary fantasy authors, at least from what I can see. The only reason why it didn't like get to the #1 spot is that it didn't like emotionally hit like a 5-star should, and that is such a subjective thing. I don't see anything wrong with this. Like it's all very good, just needed to like hit that extra for me to like give it a top like #1, but it's still top 3. Like it's still fantastic. He is snoring really loud today. I am so sorry, and I don't really feel like picking up a mic because I hate the mic that I have. In second place for 2025, the Kate Daniels series by Ilona Andrews. I have specifically Magic Binds at ranked 2 overall, and then I have Magic Rises 4th overall, but we're gonna combine like the series into one because I read so many of these books this year, and I have a couple of them in top 10, actually like 3 or 4 in the top 10 like overall. We're just gonna count it as one. I love this series. This series is so peak urban paranormal fantasy. This character, the journey she's gone on in these 10 books is so good. I think that so many people should read the series just for our main character, Kate Daniels. I know right now in paranormal or romantasy, authors are really trying to write that like badass female assassin character, and sometimes from what I hear, they don't really hit that well. Kate Daniels is a superhero to me. Like she gets shit done, and she's not like overpowered. I mean, she gets pretty strong towards the end, but she's not like immediately overpowered. She actually has to work to achieve some of these like physical feats. Like she is truly a superhero to me. I think she is so witty and she's so real, and despite being such a badass and like a little bit of a hard ass as well, she's still very emotionally like vulnerable at times. She loves the people that she's protecting. She loves her partner. There's a romance that grows over these 10 books. If you don't like romance, then maybe this is not for you, but it doesn't really take up too much of the narrative in my opinion. She is that bitch, and these books are so fun. They kind of do have a monster of the week quality from book 1 to book 10, but there is an overall arcing plot line that she's dealing with. I read books like 6 through 10 this year, and book 9 is easily my favorite. I think it is technically the best. I just love the series so much. I would love to do a reread already, but I'm gonna hold up on that because I have other books I gotta read. But this was so good. This is such a good series. I'm so excited for Ilona Andrews's like official like adult fantasy that they're releasing this year. It's like a portal fantasy. I don't want to get into that, but I'm really looking forward to like everything else Ilona Andrews. This series is fantastic. I need everyone to read this series, especially if you want to write a badass female heroine, especially if you want to write you know, urban paranormal stuff, relationship stuff, character growing. This is so good. This series is so good. I can see why so many people love Ilona Andrews, like in and out of like online bookish spaces, because they're definitely not indie. They're very popular amongst people who are like online and not. And the best book of the year, something that I've been wanting to read for a while because I knew it was gonna emotionally target me personally, is The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. I love this book. I love this series. This trilogy is absolutely fantastic. The first book in this series, My Heart is a Chainsaw, I loved as well. I loved it a little bit more than this, but still, this was fantastic. I'm trying hard not to get emotional because I love this main character. We follow a character named Jade, and she's gone through so much. She's fantastic. I feel for her. I feel like she's a real woman out there who like desperately needs a hug, and I need to give it to her. She's obviously not real. In the first book of the trilogy, this is the end of the series, but in the first book of the trilogy, we follow Jade, who is a teenager, and she loves slasher films. I love slasher films. I love horror in general. She is absolutely convinced that her city is going, or her town, she lives in a very small town. She's convinced that they're gonna have a kind of slasher event, something like reminiscent of like Halloween or Friday the 13th, where a ton of people are gonna die. She's even picked out a final girl, or the final girl that she thinks is gonna save the day. Jade is so realized. Jade, I'm convinced, is a real woman. She exists out there. Stephen Graham Jones wrote her so exceptionally well. I feel for her so much. The relationship that she forms with her final girl, the girl that she's chosen, their relationship grows so well. I love female friendship so much, and this book does female friendship so good that you're just gonna hear me say that this is so good a billion times. A lot of slasher references. I appreciate that as someone who watches a lot of horror movies, so this spoke to me on that level. Gory at times as well. If you don't like that, then, you know, watch out. But this was so fun. This was so intense. There were moments where I was like, I can't believe this is happening. This is too much. But it kept going. The ending, I'm trying so hard not to cry. Jade deserves the world. She deserves a happy ending. I don't want to talk too much about the ending, but wow, it did make me really emotional. Let me catch my breath for a second. I love this trilogy. Obviously, I desperately want to reread it already. I would love to get like a tattoo. I said this in the vlog that I read it in the vlog as well. I desperately want to get like a tattoo at some point, like in general. But if I had to get a bookish tattoo, it would probably be something related to this, something probably towards the ending here has a really, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending here I think could be a nice tattoo reference. I really love this. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, this is my best book of 2025. The trilogy overall, I think everyone should read. The first book was also really good. One thing that this book did really well as well is that it made me appreciate book 2. Book 2 was not my favorite. I gave it like 3.5. This is a 5-star, and it made me really look back on book 2 and think, you know what, I need to give it its flowers, because it did something fantastic in book 2 that I didn't appreciate at the time, but this really put it into perspective for me. So yeah, I love this book. I love Jade. Stephen Graham Jones, you're a beast. You're a monster for making me cry on camera. So those are my best and worst books of 2025. I ranted a little bit. Again, I don't hate a lot of books. I can always try to find something worthy of them, but I also loved a lot of books. As you can see, I got a little bit emotional. I just love reading. I always appreciate having the time to read. I think it's such a privilege to be able to read, especially with a bunch of stuff that's going on in the world, in my country. Maybe if you're watching this from another country, you're also dealing with a lot of things. Having the time to read, even if it's a book that you end up like not liking, is good. I will always appreciate having the time to read, whether or not I end up liking the book or not. Talk to me down below in the comments about anything that I've talked about. Have you read any of these, liked them or disliked them? I'd like to hear anything you have to say down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. He's very loud today. I am so sorry. Bye.